allegiance. Dear Lord, thank you so much for the great weather that we are finally getting, and that summer is coming in as beautiful as ever here in Canby. We ask for prayers for all of the graduating students from Canby High School and all the students that are moving on to new chapters here as the school years come to end. Keep them safe over this summer and keep them out of harm's way. Thank you for the leaders that are here in this community today. We ask for wisdom and your guidance. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. For those in the viewing audience, just to let you know, we have sound on cable. If you're watching us on the internet, on YouTube, and all you see is mouths moving and no sound, because there is none. It'll be later, so hopefully if you're watching it on YouTube, you'll figure that out and come back later or switch over to cable. Next on the agenda this evening is our proclamation for the Canby Fire District number 62 Fill the Boot Day. Whereas Canby Fire District number 62 has been working with the Muscular Dystrophy Association in their fight against neuromuscular disease, and whereas Fill the Boot is an opportunity for Oregon firefighters to ask community members to drop donations into their fire boots to help local families served by MDA in the state. This year marks the 63rd anniversary of the partnership between firefighters and MDA in the fight against muscle wasting diseases. And whereas Canby Fire District number 62 has spent many hours collecting money on the streets for this campaign, and whereas firefighters locally and nationally are the largest contributors to the MDA, Canby firefighters collected $10,241 in 2016 to help in the fight against the 43 different types of neuromuscular diseases. Now, therefore, I, Brian Hodson, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Canby, do hereby proclaim Saturday, July 29th, 2017 as Canby Fire District number 62 Fill the Boot Day for the city of Canby, given unto my hand this 21st day of June 2017. And do we have anyone from the fire district tonight? Tyler, you want to
take Tim? Sure.
deliver that to them for me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So generally, so on the 29th, they'll be camped out, I believe, usually right there at Ivy and 99, backing up traffic and asking for a small little drop of cash and coins into their boots. So please keep that in mind as you're out and about on the 29th. We'll move into communications this evening. Mr. City Manager, any communications?
Nothing to report right now.
Great, thank you. Our first opportunity for citizen input and community announcements this evening. So this is an opportunity for audience members to address the City Council on items not on the agenda. Each person will be given 3 minutes to address the Council on the non-agenda item or announcement. You're required to fill out one of the yellow testimony cards. If you have done so or are still planning on it, please take it up here to Kim, our city recorder, here on the end, and she'll note it and pass it on down to me, and we'll give you your opportunity to your 3 minutes of fame and fortune here in front of the council. We will at that point, if there's something that we need to add from an agenda standpoint, we will address that and move that to a potential agenda item, or it's an item that I will take offline with the city manager, and we will go from there. So first that I have here this evening is just came in, Sean Varwig regarding Uber.
Good evening.
Good evening, Sean. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really good.
Good.
I have allergies, so while I'm passionate about this topic, I'm not crying over it, just so that you guys know that.
We all do too.
I'll cry with you guys. How about that? Here tonight, basically on a different topic than I've ever been here before. You guys know me as Sean, the owner of Judson Roy Home Furnishings, and you may not know that 2 nights a week I also moonlight as an Uber driver. I make very little money doing it. I do it for fun and just as a chance to get away from everything else that I do. Recently, obviously, I mean, you guys know, you guys probably have been on Canby now and seen the discussions and the conversations that was sparked based on conversations you guys had last meeting regarding business licenses for Uber drivers. And I think it kind of blindsided us a little bit. We didn't see that coming up, but I guess the point that we want to make tonight is we'd like to see maybe a little more clarification before the requirement to have the license. Clarification on the code. There's a point in there where it talks about the exemptions, which if you talk to Uber drivers, we believe we fall under that exemption of we don't work for more than 3 consecutive days in one place. We don't work more than 30 days in a calendar year here. I've done it for 3 months. I've picked up 1 person in Canby. I made $3.28 working in Canby, so I don't want to spend $50 to make $3. And the only reason I picked up that person was because I forgot my phone charger and I happened to be coming home to get my charger, so it just kind of worked out. We also believe that if this is the way that it's going to go, that's fine. We'll go with it. But there's more. If we're considered an independent contractor and required to have a business license, there's a lot more than just Uber drivers that should be required to have a business license. And so I guess we're coming before to say, if that's the case, we'll comply with it. But we want it to go a little bit further to say not just the Uber drivers. The allergies, I'm not super clear, so I had this whole thing planned out and I should have wrote it down. But I guess that's what we're asking is please don't just single us out because of a complaint that came in from somebody that doesn't like us, and I understand why, totally get why. But let's look at the big picture and say if it's a situation of independent contractors needing to have a business license, let's talk about independent contractors. Let's not say just Uber and Lyft drivers. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. David Ames, also regarding the Uber business license piece.
Hi there, is it all right if I just stand?
Sure can. I think the microphone will pick you up there.
Oh, yeah. If you can't hear me, I can talk louder.
Talk loud.
For the microphone, too.
Okay. So my name is David Ames, and I've lived here in Canby and owned my home here for 30 years. And I've really
Can you
liked,
sit down and talk into the mic, please?
I've really liked living here in Canby. I don't think being an Uber driver is a home business, and should have a license to be required. No one comes to my house. I have no product at my house. I store nothing for Uber. Everything is done over a phone or an email in my own personal cars parked in the driveway. Same as it's been for 30 years. As far as Sean mentioned, I've been doing it for 8 months, and I didn't go through my phone to do all the calculations because I don't think it really matters how much money I made, but it's probably about $200. So you'd be asking me to give up 25% of what I've earned in 8 months. But the people I have picked up, I think were important pickups. They were people that would have been driving drunk through town later on in the evening. If I didn't take them where their destination was to go, I picked up a young girl that would have been roaming the streets at night about 11 o'clock to get home. I picked up a stranded motorist at Fred Meyer's in the pouring down rain. His car broke down. Took him a mile, pays $3. So then here, and mostly when I turn my app on, I get up at 3 in the morning, and I usually leave the house at 3:30, and I drive out of Canby because I've only gotten 1 request. So I don't get requests for a ride until I'm in Oregon City, and that's Westland, Lake Oswego, Tualatin, Wilsonville. And one thing I don't want to see happen is if Canby sets a precedent to where all these towns go, okay, for Dave to go to this town, yeah, you have a business license in Wilsonville. You have to have a business license in Tualatin. You have to have a business license in Lake Oswego. I mean, how many towns have we got around Portland? Hundreds. I'm sure if you counted them all, that I would go to. So I don't want that precedent set. And other people in Canby that do get rides, I was told by the phone call I got that they would require to have a business license to pick up somebody in Canby. Well, a person came from Wilsonville one time and picked up a young child and took him to urgent care. I don't know if the taxi cab wasn't available that fast. The lady probably didn't want to walk with her kids to urgent care. That paid the driver from Canby to urgent care $3. So you're going to get people that just won't come to Canby to take people if they're required to have a business license. And I don't know how that'll be enforced either, if people come from out of town. So I think all in all, Uber is a good thing to have here. One of the things they always promote is we keep drunk drivers off the road. Even if it's only one, that one could be something that would be very devastating. But like Sean said, I'd get the business license if I have to. I just don't think I'm really a home-based business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Julie Johnson. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Hi. Nervous.
Oh, you're no need to be. You're good.
I've lived here in Oregon for 6 years, and I've been doing Uber for a year and a half, and I'm almost reaching 800 people that I've transported with Uber. No idea how much I've made, but I want to serve Canby, and I love it here, and I'm willing to pay the $50 a year for the business license, but it's just going to affect, all the other Uber drivers. They're not going to come here and pick up anybody, but I don't want to leave anybody stranded, so I'm basically forced to have to fork over the $50, so that's it.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Ron, is it Yule? Evening. How are you, sir?
This was an item that was brought to me by Dave, who had spoke just moments ago, 2 hours ago. and I have been with Uber for just about 19 months now, done nearly 3,000 rides between Uber and Lyft. Now, the question I have is, if you're proposing doing a $50 tax, are you going to do that for Uber and Lyft? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the background of this issue, but what I do know is I have a City of Portland license. Vancouver does not require it specific yet across the board, but there's no charge for the license. I'm not sure why there's a $50 charge for a ride share where there's no taxi cab companies in Canby proper that I'm aware of. The other thing is, too, like has been mentioned, it fills a gap or a niche in the community. And I have taken my share, but very, very few here in Canby. I have had some, I'd say probably dollar-wise. I've been here in Canby now since the beginning of March. Bought a house, and I love Canby. It's a very nice town, but this is concerning to me because it feels like when the Clackamas County Fair, it's another issue, but it used to be free. And then it started out where it was $1 charge for people to come in, $3, $5. When does Pandora's box close? I mean, I just, to me it almost has the feel of a revenue grab. So I just want to bring that up. It's just some concerns that I have. I've been with both companies for quite a while. I got pretty good gist of what's going on in the community. It fills a gap, brings drunk drivers home, and and the whole range that's in between. It fills a need, and I think it does a vital community service. So I just want to bring that up, and thanks for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Kai Kiefel? Did I say that right?
I've been doing Uber and Lyft for about like 9 months, and it is my job, my full-time job. So I feel like the Portland license is enough, in my opinion, because it should cover the whole area. Because if every single city requires us to get this license, that's a lot of money from each and every one of us. And as some of the other drivers may know, that sometimes in a day you don't make your quota, if you have a quota in a day. I start work at, let's say, 4 a.m. is when I usually start work every day, and I end work at 9 p.m. Within that time period, I could make $100, $150, maybe $200, but like there's good days and bad days. And depending on these days and when we need to get all these license from however many cities want us to get the license, that's a lot of money already being taken from us, because Uber takes a share from our paychecks, Lyft takes a share from our paychecks, and we've all got bills. We've all got our car maintenance to keep up on. We've all got things that we have to pay for already out of our, if like I said, this is my job. This is the only thing I do. And I'm out every single day. I don't have weekends off. I'm every single day. And the pay isn't all that, like, it's not all that great, in my opinion, but I'm also not just in Canby. I find that my rides that do come from Canby are going out of Canby. They're going to, like, the airport, which does pay well, but, like, I'm not doing airport rides every day. They're little rides here and there, like a block, 2 blocks. People in Oregon City coming to Canby, it's not all that much. So I feel like if all of these cities are requiring all of this from us, in addition to what Uber takes out of our paychecks already, that's just a lot of extra money. But that's my piece.
So first, let me just say thank you to all of you for coming down and I guess giving us your 2 cents on the matter. I really do appreciate that a lot. You know, I think it was Ron, you were asking about the background a little bit. So yes, this was brought to our attention in terms of a concern by, we do have a cab company here in Canby, and so there was some concern about their business model versus an Uber business model, and a perceived inequality in the two. And so we saw that, and staff saw that as a piece of instituting this, the business license piece, as us looking at how do we level the playing field and how do we keep things equitable. So it was that was our attempt here with this. And so I think with us being able to be the community that we are, I think that we can react quickly to things like this where maybe we do need to take a look at this, and so we will. You know, Rick and I have spent back and forth today on a couple of phone calls and emails just on terms of dialogue. I've had a number of conversations with several of the counselors in the last, I think, 48 hours. Sean and I have been on the phone at least twice, and face-to-face at least once over on the topic as well. And all valid questions that came up and valid points that were made here this evening. So I've reached out to the council today, and I've asked the council to take what feedback and the pieces that you guys shared tonight and what conversation have occurred, and create a list of questions for staff that maybe we need to vet out a little bit better to understand this, and to maybe better make a decision regarding the business license piece in this regard, or and how that then parlays, because somebody used a Pandora's box reference. I think that's very fitting for this topic, because it can open up, I think, a bigger, greater conversation. And so staff and I will make this an agenda item in the future. So we will work on that. I've asked this council to get some thoughts down and some questions that they want staff to look at, and to get that to me so that I can then have our city attorney and city manager kind of look at that and see what can be done. And we will make this an agenda item in the future. So know that, you know, we do hear what you are saying, and we will take a look at it going forward. Rick?
I just wanted to add that during this time period, as we are evaluating our business license processes and the applicability of those business licenses to transportation modalities such as Uber and Lyft. We will not be enforcing the business license requirement, so you don't need to run down and pick up a business license until we're able to sort through this entire process. We'll bring it back to council for further discussion. You'll have an opportunity to see what the ultimate staff recommendation is going to be. But in that interim period, and you'll have plenty of advance notice, during that interim period, we will not be enforcing or pursuing compliance with the current business license language, what I do think requires that we pursue the business licenses. But we're set that aside. We're going to work through the detail, and we'll present it in a public meeting. You'll have an opportunity to provide comment. And frankly, I think that working through the day with the mayor, that we actually have a draft solution already kind of crafted, and I'll be working on it following more input from the mayor and the councilors, and we'll bring it back to the council probably either in July or August. I know that we have short months over the next, but I guess the good news is the longer it takes us to bring it back, the longer you don't ever have to worry about it. So from that perspective, it's not a bad outcome either.
Thank you, Rick. The other card I have up here, Mr. Camera, regarding the budget, we're going to have a public hearing on that this evening, so I will get to your card when we get to that, okay? So, great. Those are all the cards I have regarding the Uber topic. Is there any other Uber or other topics that want to be addressed that are non-agenda items before I move on? Yes, sir.
Nathan said call it Uber or Lyft. It's kind of ride share.
Okay. Fair point. Ride share. Perfect. We will change that subject of testimony to ride sharing. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually, in working some draft language today, I've kind of characterized it even more globally, because we don't know in the future what's going to happen with Uber and Lyft and other types of modalities. So we're speaking more generally of transportation services. And so that's kind of the gist of the approach that we'll be taking, so we don't leave anybody out.
Rick. Thanks. Moving in then into mayor's business. I don't have much, mostly just reminders and just some, I guess, public announcements. Most of my meetings must have been nice weather because everyone seemed to get canceled. Canby Cleanup Day. So Canby Livability holds a Canby Cleanup Day here coming up. It's this Sunday from 1 to 4. If you want to go to cambylivability.org, they have a lovely list of projects that need volunteers, and with the upcoming summer months and the number of activities and people that will be coming to Canby, please take a moment and check out the projects that are on there, and maybe spruce up, help Canby Livability spruce up the look of Canby. So we're ready for that. And I would say too, those of you that are maybe businesses along 99 and downtown, might not be a bad idea to get out and maybe do a little cleanup and pull some weeds and get some of that grime and grit out of the sidewalk cracks in front of the business, and let's put our best foot forward with the events that we have coming up. Rick brought this up at our Urban Renewal District meeting that we had a little bit ago. The finance building has come down. The Dahlia project is underway, so we're very excited about that, and they'll be cleaning that up, and then the planning building will be coming down, I think, within the next couple of days. And then there'll be a groundbreaking here probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks, so stay tuned for that. And one of my favorite things with this time of year is the Allegro Dance Studio is having their recital this weekend. My daughter and my oldest son are performing. I think you've got someone in there, and I think I'm an alumni. You are, yes. Let's see, daughter, nieces, yeah. So tickets, I think, are still available, though they do generally sell out almost all their shows. So that's a big thing here in Canby this weekend. So we'll move on down to liaison reports. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So mine is short and sweet. The Planning Commission's last 2 meetings have been canceled, and the Fire District has not met since our last meeting. So I've had no official meetings, and I'll pass it off to Councilor Parker.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one, and it's great news. Our overachieving Historic Review Board has brought in some more money again. They've got another grant for Phase 2 of the Baker Prairie Cemetery repairs that will begin in July. So with this, every one of the gravestones will be cleaned, repaired, and straight and intact. So way to go, Historic Review Commission.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Council President Dale.
Mr. Mayor, on the Canby utility front, their backflow prevention plan has been approved by the Oregon State Health Authority, which they tell me is no easy feat, very rigorous. The state is very concerned about residential backflow in particular, but that plan's been approved. With the advent of summer, we're starting to see some minor power outages around town. So far, they've ranged from 1 home to 6, and unfortunately, they are due to squirrels using the lines as aerial highways. But yeah, it's kind of a crispy snack thing. Yeah. But they do show up on their statistic reports. And then finally, on their new headquarters at 4th and Pine, the bid request for construction went out last Thursday. The bids will be opened in 4.5 weeks on July 26th. They'll make the award on August 8th, and groundbreaking will begin mid-September. So we'll start seeing a new building go up over there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a timeline on how long they think that project from groundbreaking to?
Yeah, they're hoping late spring, early summer of 18.
Okay, so that's not bad. Great, thank you. Councilor Height. Hello.
So with the Canby Public Library, the Volunteer Appreciation Event is held yearly, and a couple Saturdays ago, it was right here in the chambers, and so the Volunteer of the Year, I wanted to announce that. It's Carol Wagner, who used to be the treasurer of the Friends of the Library Board, but now she's more of a volunteer at large and puts in, I think, hundreds of hours a year, so hats off to her, and yeah, it was a fun little event. Also, the summer reading program kicked off 1st of June, as I said, and they've signed up 446 kids as of earlier this week, and 118 teens and a few adults anyway, and this will go on through August 11th. So now that school is out officially today, get your kids and yourselves reading. There's all kinds of incentives and prizes and whatnot available. The security cameras that they ordered have come in, and they've installed them, and the staff will soon be trained on how to monitor footage. So that's happening in the library. The RFID, the radio frequency identification, most of those are tagged, I think about 70% now, and staff are starting to actually use it. So there's a pad that you can have a whole stack of items that are checked in, and it like checks them in a second as opposed to individually barcoding each. So that's pretty exciting. There's great progress there, and they're glad to be 70% done with that big project. They're in the process of hiring a part-time staff person, and so that will happen, I think, mid-next month. And then there is the meals program, the summer meals program that the school district puts on in conjunction with the summer food program. And it's shorter this year, I think. It's from July 5th through August 4th. It's free lunches for 0 to 18-year-olds. So I kind of wanted to make a public service announcement here. And it'll be at Knight Elementary from July 5th through August 4th. And that's over the lunch hour, 11:30 to 12:30. And then from August 7th to 18th, it'll be at Waite Park. And some library staff actually volunteer to help. Sometimes they do stories or crafts or whatnot. So that's really great partnership, too. So good job to those folks for putting on that program. And then family night, there's every month, at the very end of the month, there's a family night. This month it's Star Wars Adventures, which is very interesting. There's always clever events that they put on. I don't know anything else, but it's kind of tantalizing. Like, you know, whatever the Star Wars adventure is, I don't know, you could call the library to find out more. But that's 6:30 on June 29th. And then the Friday shows, the big Friday shows kick off this Friday now that there's no school, and there's a big puppet show, Penny's Puppets out of Portland, right here in the Willamette Room. So if you have young kids, bring them in. The school district, their board meeting was this week. Actually, the Eccles kids, our Battle of the Book Teams team presented. There's always a highlighted school every month, and it was Eccles, and so that was fun to see those kids speak on their accomplishments. Kristen Downs has been a school board member for 8 years. She stepped off this week, and so they gave her a little certificate, or actually it's a plaque of appreciation. So thank you to her for her 8 years of service. And the newly sworn in school board member is Sarah Magenheimer. So best of luck to her. The principals gave updates on their school improvement plans, and it was interesting that a theme that occurred there was authentic family engagement. That's what they're looking at in this upcoming school year. So maybe I'll have more details on what that looks like later. And lastly, you know, the pancake breakfast that the Canby Historical Society puts on, Nora Clark, who is a board member there, would like to invite all of you. And I emailed all of you. I think you received that, right? So make sure you get back to her. The shifts are 1 hour long. 4th of July morning, of course, at night school. The council traditionally serves breakfast for an hour at the pancake breakfast, for those of you that aren't aware, on 4th of July at night school. And we often take a shift, so 7 to 8, 8 to 9, etc. The parade is right in the middle of that, which makes it difficult for a lot of us that participate in that, but she'd be happy for any time we can give her. So just wanted to let you know. All righty, that's all I've got.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Spoon.
Yes, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm excellent. So first I wanted to congratulate the Canby High School class of 2017. The weather held out for their outdoor ceremony this year. It's exciting to see so many of them getting scholarships in the paper and moving on. So congratulations to them. Next, July 4th is 13 days away. And we actually this year have fewer volunteers signed up than we had at this time last year. So I'll be emailing all of you with the sign up page in case you would like to participate. But for the rest of Canby, we could really use your help. If there are any groups, church groups, community groups, organizations that would like to participate, our biggest need is setup and breakdown as usual. And that's best done by groups because it's kind of a quick in, heavy hour or so to load everything up and move it out or to set it up. You can find that on the Canby Independence Day website, and I'm also probably going to post it in Canby Now in the next couple of days with the link to the sign-up page. Also, the fireworks show is still short funds, so you can find those little red fireworks all over town, and also you can take money directly to the Canby Fire Department if you'd like to donate money towards that. It's all community funded, and it really is an outstanding fireworks show that's a great component to the event. And then in exciting news, we already have more street vendors signed up this year than we had last year. So the event, we still have great need for volunteers, but the event is growing, and I'm really looking forward to it. I announced last time that this coming Monday is the last day to sign up if you have a float or a parade entry. In previous years, you've been able to sign up until the morning of, but in an effort to keep it better organized this year, we have cutoffs this Monday. So that cutoff is Monday at 5 p.m. if you want to be in the parade. Our process has changed. And then finally, CTV5, I said a couple of months ago that they're working on an original program, and they started filming an original TV series this week. So I'm excited to see what happens with that, all volunteer effort. They found a set, they cleaned it up, they're filming part of it at an old house. I saw some footage, or not some footage, but some pictures, and it looks great, and it's really neat to see that community resource being used in a new way. That resource is available to everyone in Canby. Just contact CTV5 if you have any show that you'd like to film or something like that. They would love the content for the TV channel.
Thank you. We will move into the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the consent agenda, which includes the June 7th, 2017 City Council regular meeting minutes and the appointment of Russell Heineman to the Bike and Pedestrian Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2020.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, second, please.
Second.
Motion's been made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Spoon to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the City Council regular meeting of June 7th, 2017, the appointment of Russell Heineman to the Bike and Ped Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2020. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries 5-0. Great. We are now going to move into a series of public hearings regarding our city budget. We started this process, the city staff started this process at the late winter, did you say earlier, beginning of spring? And we're put to the test on making this happen. And then we, as the budget committee, that also included a number of community members were involved in spending a number of nights going through it with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that we could not squeeze out any more water out of the rocks that we are working with. And I think we've done a great job. Former City Councilor Jason Padden's here. He was part of that committee, so thank you, sir. And Council President Dale was the budget chair and did a great job with those meetings, so thank you, sir. And thank you for staff for doing that. Joe, matter of clarification here regarding the public hearing process. The format reading, does that need to be read with each individual hearing?
No, it's going to be the same type of hearing for each one, so people just need to know that the process is the same for each one.
Perfect. I just wanted to clarify that and make sure I only had to read this once.
Okay.
So thank you. So bear with me as I read our guidelines for our hearing this evening, or hearings plural. The matters presently before the hearing body requires a public hearing. All interested persons in attendance shall be heard on the matters. If you wish to testify on this matter, please fill out a yellow public testimony card like these. They're located back by the back door, and give to the city recorder. At the appropriate time, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and interest in the matter. Those people that are interested in testifying as either proponents or opponents, please indicate your desire to speak by raising your hands at this time. Got one. Jason, two. Thank you. Any others that I missed real quick? No? For longer presentations, proponents and opponents may buy time from one another. In so doing, those either in favor or opposed may allocate their time to a spokesperson who will represent the entire group. All questions must be directed through the mayor. Any evidence to be considered must be submitted to the hearing body for public access. All written testimony received both for and against shall be summarized by staff and presented briefly to the hearing body during the staff report. The public hearings will all follow this same format. We will get a staff report. We'll have questions, if any, by the hearing body or staff. I will open the public hearing for testimony. Proponents will be given not more than 3 minutes. Opponents, not more than 3 minutes. I will then close the public hearing. Questions, if any, by the hearing body, and then discussion by the hearing body. A decision shall be made by the hearing body at the close of the hearing, or the matter will be continued to a date certain in the future. This will be the only notice that of that date you will receive. Does anyone have any questions about the proceeding or the hearing? Great. Pass me that yellow card there, sir. Thank you, sir. Great. So our first public hearing this evening is on the state revenue sharing funds. We'll give that to Julie. I think you're just going to be camped out there this evening.
I am. Thank you. It's the one night of the year that, you know. So this public hearing is to address the ability for the citizens to give comment on how they would like us to spend the state shared revenue that we receive. If there's special programs that they would like to see it to go towards. Currently, it is budgeted as just general fund, general revenue, and is not specifically allocated to anything specific. It's just part of the general fund. So this is an opportunity if any of our citizens want to see it go to something specific, they have this opportunity to speak on that.
Great. Any questions on this particular piece for Julie, our finance director? Clarifications? No?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Does it traditionally go back to the general fund? Or do we
It does. It almost universally comes back to the general fund. This is more of a technical step than a practical step. As a matter of fact, I can't think of a circumstance that wasn't the ultimate outcome. It comes in as general purpose revenue.
And Julie, what makes up the state revenue sharing piece that we get to be a part of?
There's several different kinds of revenue that we receive from the state. We receive cigarette tax, an apportionment of that. We receive liquor tax. There's street gas tax that we receive, that's our local gas tax. And then there's this pool that they call state shared revenue. That money comes into the state and we get some of it. And nobody really can quite tell you how that allocation works other than population. It's kind of that black box at the state that they receive this revenue and it gets pushed back out to the jurisdictions based on population.
Yeah, much of the revenue that comes from the state is earmarked and has to be spent. As a matter of fact, when you receive transportation-related monies, gas tax, as an example, that has to go back into the transportation system. This is one of those circumstances that is not a requirement.
Okay, great. Thank you, Julie. Mr. Patton, on your card for the budget, you just want to address in general when we get to that point? Is that?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. Okay, I will open the public hearing for testimony on the state revenue sharing funds piece. Are there any proponents on this one that want to address the council on that? No? Any opponents on the profit sharing that they don't think that we should get the profit sharing? Okay, seeing none, I will close that hearing. Any other questions or discussion from us up here? Okay. Okay, we will move on then into the hearing for the 2017-18 fiscal year budget as approved by the Budget Committee.
Good evening again. So tonight you have a resolution before you that appropriates the funds for the city's budget for the year, for all the different funds that we have. And that resolution also designates the tax levies for the year for both the general fund and for our local option levy for the pool. The appropriations are our legal limit of spending. So what is outlined on this resolution for each of these different categories, we cannot go over that spending limit without coming back to this body and requesting either a supplemental or a transfer. So this was before the Budget Committee, was approved on May 18th with a minor modification to move money from the current year to next year for some capital projects. But otherwise, those were the only changes.
Mayor, point of order?
Yes, sir.
Are we having a multi-combination public hearing and then going to vote 3 times separately, or are we going to actually vote each one of these at a time? I mean, these are supposed to be separate public hearings, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, and I closed the one, and we've now moved into the second one. We will then, when we're done with the hearings, move into reviewing the ordinances and whatnot on the back page of your agenda.
Okay.
2 separate processes.
I would add, Julie did a wonderful job providing the overview for the benefit of the audience. The total appropriation recommended is $24,617,879. The allocation of that is $9,659,474 for the general fund, $1,089,876 for the library fund. The street fund is $2,966,365. Transit, $2,301,784. Systems Development Charge Fund, $420,000. Swim Center levy is $959,225. The Forfeiture Fund is $31,449. Facilities Fund is $339,388. Fleet Fund is $785,387. Debt Services $362,839, and the Sewer Fund $5,702,900. The sewer fund does include both the wastewater treatment facilities, the stormwater collection system, and our wastewater collection system, the pipes in the ground, if you will. We also will be approving with the resolution, when you consider it, the assessed valuation and the permanent tax rate, which Julie will probably want to go over with you.
The permanent rate for the city is 3.4886 per $1,000 of assessed permanent assessed value. For the local option levy, it's 49 cents per $1,000 of assessed value, and we have no debt service, no general obligation bonds to levy for.
Any questions at all for Julie? No, sir. No? Okay. I will open up this public hearing on the matter. Are there any proponents at this point? Mr. Canberra, did you want to address us right now? Why don't you come on up and we will do our best to answer it.
I apologize to the council. Usually I try to do my research at a time, but unfortunately life got in the way, and I noticed on the agenda that this was the time you were going to approve the budget, so I didn't have my chance to check all my facts before I got here. Question. I read in the Canby Herald about the budget that is going before you, that the library's fund was going to be cut by 50%, at least that's what I thought, and that other departments were going to have an increase. And it struck me as being either I read it wrong or I didn't understand how that could be, since the library seems to have an increase in usage across the board, and things that I voted for, like the pool, was going to have an increase in their budget because I just approved the bond for them. So it doesn't make sense to me, or I misread it.
The library budget has actually increased quite a bit in comparison with the current fiscal year. And let me pull that up real quickly. There we go.
So I just need your assurance that what I read in the paper was,
Go to your 2016-17 fiscal year included the improvements to this new building. And in 2017-18, it's just the operating costs. And I can assure you that the overall operating budget for the library is increased in 2017-18 in comparison with 2016-17. As an example, the personnel services have increased from $645,000 to $708,000 in between the projected for 16-17 and the proposed budget that the council is considering today. The materials and services are down a little bit from 269 to 209,000, but the 269,000 did include things like the opening day collection and other expenses relating to the opening of the new building that are not necessary as the building is continuing forward. So I think the most relevant measure is looking at the staffing costs associated with administering the library program, and those have gone up. Are projected, as I said, again this year's from 645 to 708, so 55, 65, about $70,000.
Thank you. I appreciate the counsel and the time. It's reassuring. I knew that when I read that there was something more, and I should have asked the city administrator beforehand, but I thank you very much for your time.
I'm here every week. Ask us a question, please.
Library budget a little lower. Is that
it is
maybe
lower. That really doesn't have anything to do with the operating side. I'm not quite sure. The biggest change is that we had $1.2 million that was allocated to the construction project in the 16-17 fiscal year that is not allocated in 17-18 because the project is done. So if you take that out and nothing else, then you'll see that our library budget is actually, or the operating budget is greater in 17-18 than in 16-17. The reserves, the contingency is down because we are spending more money in 17-18 than a little more than we're bringing in. We're hoping, and we'll be, Irene and I have actually talked about this any number of times, as have Julie and I, over the last several months. One point of clarification, we actually initiated this budget process last November. And so we've been working on it since November. We have the same concern about the shrinking reserves, which translates to the contingency. However, what we've seen is a pattern of increases of the countywide budget. Those funds are, I can never remember what they're called, but